Any software without an API has been off-limits for automation. April 16th ended that. Here's why it matters right now. OpenAI turned Codex into a desktop app. If you build workflows or run ops tasks, this changes what you can do right now. Some tasks were off-limits last month. They're not anymore. It clicks, it types, it opens any Mac app. It does this in the background. Your cursor stays free. 3 agents can run at once. In this video, I'll show you where Codex wins so old tools don't slow you down. Here's what this covers. What Codex is now, how it got this good, where each lab is heading, and what to use for what. A specific team made this work. Their story explains why it works when other tools fail. A year ago, Codex was a tool for coders. You typed a prompt. It wrote code. That was it. Now it sees your screen. It opens any Mac app. It browses the web in its own browser. It makes images. It recalls past sessions. It wakes itself up on long tasks, and it runs more than one agent at a time. None of that takes your cursor. The shift came in stages. February was the Mac OS desktop app. March was Windows and a new base model. April 16th brought it all together. Computer use, a built-in browser, image generation, memory, and 90+ new plugins. That is a category change, not a small coding update. The agent sees your screen. It acts at the system level, real clicks, real keystrokes. It does this through a layer built for background work. Your cursor never gets taken. Your focus never shifts. 3 agents can run in 3 apps while you work in a 4th. Most tools don't work this way. They take your cursor. They lock your screen. You can't do much else while they run. Codex doesn't do that. Each agent runs in its own thread. They don't share state. That's what makes it safe to run 3 at once. Getting this right took a team with rare skills. GPT 5.4 is the first OpenAI model with computer use built into the base model, not added on top. Built in. On OS World, which tests real GUI tasks, it scores in the mid-70s. The human score is 72. Claude sits around 60. That gap is real. Sam Altman said on this one feature their product is ahead. On computer use, the data backs him up. The model is not just guessing which button to press, it has training for the screen itself. Run both on the same task. Codex moves fast, no pauses, no false starts. Claude slows down, the cursor stops, the agent thinks. Sometimes it retries the same step twice. Tasks that take 2 minutes in Codex take 5 or 6 in Claude. Claude sticks to Chrome. Codex reaches any app on the desktop. The gap shows up every time. It's not one bad run. If the task touches a desktop app instead of a clean web flow, that difference grows. Computer use tools have shared one failure mode for over a year. The agent hits something odd, a pop-up, a bad screen state. It stops. You start over. Progress gone. You do it by hand. Codex doesn't stop. It backs up. It reads the screen. It adjusts. It keeps going. It finishes. That one move changes everything. Backing up instead of freezing is what makes this a tool you'd trust, and that trait has a source. A modal becomes a detour, not a dead end. Early users posting Codex workflows since April 16th aren't sharing demos. They're sharing things they set up to run again. One cleared an 847 message Slack backlog overnight bot alerts, digests, threads, all triaged. Another built a daily recap, pull commits, write to Notion, add action items to Apple reminders. Another drove Spotify from a voice note. Codex clicked through the app and built the playlist. Another ran visual tests on an old feature while shipping the new one. When someone uses a tool again without being asked, that's the tell. Codex crossed that line. The pattern is plain. People ran the task, saw it finish, and saved it for tomorrow. Both OpenAI and Anthropic got out of the coding product this year. Both built desktop apps. Both are building toward agents that act on their own. But they went in different directions. Anthropic went toward knowledge work. OpenAI went wider. Greg Brockman named 3 vectors for OpenAI: the agent platform, computer work, and personal AI that acts for you in the real world. OpenAI cut Sora and a drug research project to stay on those three. That level of focus is unusual, and the direction gap matters more than it sounds. This is not about one app, it is about where agents can work. Knowledge work is research, writing, and synthesis. You set an outcome, the agent thinks. Computer work is broader. It covers any task on a computer. Ops work, visual tests, triage, data entry. Knowledge work sits inside computer work. That is why GUI control matters, even when the work looks simple. Anthropic's agent runs through set interfaces, MCP servers, API links, more than 30,000 plugins in the Claude network. Their co-work mode asks you to pick a folder first. That's a design choice that sets limits. It keeps the agent in bounds, clean. But every plugin needs someone to build it and keep it up. The agent can only reach as far as the software world moves. The world has to ship agent-ready tools for this to scale. Enterprise software is slow. Most internal tools won't get MCP support anytime soon. That is strong when the bridge exists. It is weak when the bridge never gets built. Here's the other side. OpenAI didn't build that same structure. You describe the outcome. The agent picks the method. Click through a UI, open files, use a plugin, browse the web, write code. Computer use is the fallback when nothing else works. The reach of the agent depends on one thing. How much software has a screen? The answer is all of it. Old tools. Internal apps. Any product that never built an API. No vendor has to do a thing. The screen becomes the bridge. In October 2025, OpenAI bought a 12-person company called Software Applications Inc. Their product was Sky, a Mac OS AI app doing what Codex does now. Two founders built Workflow. That's the iOS app Apple bought in 2017. It became Shortcuts now, the automation layer across iOS, Mac OS, and iPad OS. A third founder spent 10 years at Apple on Safari, WebKit, and FaceTime. Their skill? Agents that feel natural. Permissions done right. Cursor motion that doesn't feel robotic. The Codex lead credited their cursor work. That's the key reason agents feel like a coworker. OpenAI paid for that team. April 16th is the payoff. Chronicle shipped April 20th, 4 days after the main release. It's a research preview for pro users on Mac. It captures your screen. It sends those frames to OpenAI servers. It writes local memory files. Codex pulls those into future sessions. It looks like a memory feature. But there's more to it. It trains the model on how you use your own software, your app habits, your patterns, your shortcuts. The agent picks those up. The trade-off is direct. Your screen data goes to OpenAI. That's why it's not in the EU, UK, or Switzerland. Altman called it like telepathy. The Codex lead said it changed how the team works. Conway surfaced by accident. In April, a code error pushed 500,000 lines of Claude code source to a public NPM page. Inside, an always-on agent layer with its own sidebar, webhook triggers, a custom plugin format, and browser control. Conway assumes vendors will build for agents clean triggers, set interfaces, agent native tools. If MCP spreads fast, that bet pays off. Salesforce adding MCP support is a real signal. Watch the second half of the year. If major vendors ship real MCP support, Anthropic's path gets stronger. If they ship thin wrappers, driving the UI directly stays ahead. That's the tiebreaker. The bet is clean, but it asks everyone else to move fast. For software without modern APIs, Codex is ready now. Legacy dashboards, visual testing, cross-app triage where you'd normally copy-paste between tools for an hour, bug screenshots going straight into PR docs. Anything where the holdup is the interface and not the thinking. Parallel background agents work well enough that queuing 3 or 4 tasks before you step out has become a real workflow. They're done when you're back. And that list of use cases is still growing. Start with the work you already avoid because the UI is slow and dull. That is the near-term win. On scoped bounded work point at a folder, set the outcome, keep the scope clear. Claude's co-work model is cleaner. Claude Code is still the standard for multi-agent coding. Opus 4.7 closed the gap on complex refactors. For knowledge work with clean links already built in, Claude's approach compounds over time. The win goes to Codex on the long tail. Claude wins on bounded structured work. Use Claude when boundaries matter more than reach. Use Codex when reach is the whole point. The question isn't which product is better. The question is where your work lives. Knowledge work with clean links. Claude compounds. Old systems, internal tools, vendor portals with no roadmap. Codex reaches those today. Claude doesn't yet. That second bucket is much bigger than most people plan for. The gap isn't closing fast. Here's the thing to watch. Conway shipping publicly locks in the two-path split. MCP adoption stalling means more of the field moves to computer use by default. The biggest tell? Watch what the labs buy next. Make a list of the tools your team still opens by hand. That list is the map. The first test should be boring. Pick a task that repeats every day. Pick one with a visible screen. Pick one where done is easy to check. Slack triage, a visual test pass, a dashboard export, a bug repro with a screenshot. Do not start with the hardest judgment call. Start with the click work people already hate. Let Codex run it while a person checks the output. Keep the first run small, keep the score clear. If it saves 10 minutes each day, it has already earned more tests. The safe pattern is a shadow run. Codex does the task. A person does the same task once. Compare the result. If the result matches, let it handle the next run with review. If it misses, the miss teaches you where the workflow is too fuzzy. That is how this becomes real inside a team. Not with a huge launch, with one dull job that stops wasting time. This is also where the Claude point matters. If the work lives in a clean folder with clear files and clear scope, Claude is still a great fit. If the work lives across a messy app, a vendor portal, a dashboard, and a browser, Codex has the better body. The question is not which model sounds smarter. The question is which body can reach the work. The next signal is simple. Watch how fast vendors build real agent bridges. If MCP support is deep, Claude's path gets stronger. If support is thin or slow or only covers the easy parts, direct UI control keeps winning. Most teams will live with both. Structured agents for clean work, computer use for the long tail, but the most important part is simple. That long tail is where the budget leak is. That is the part most firms miss. The dull work is where time leaks every week. 6 months ago, software without an API was off the map. You waited for the vendor, built the link yourself, or dropped it. That's done. If software has a screen, an agent can drive it. That opens up more than most people are planning for. Watch who the labs buy. OpenAI got a 12-person Mac OS team. Anthropic bought Recept and had Windows desktop control within 4 weeks. OpenAI also bought IO Johnny Ive's hardware startup for the team, not the product. The labs pay for specific skills. Models are starting to look similar. Those skills aren't. Who they buy next tells you more about where the edge lands than any benchmark chart.